Hi, folks. Thanks for tuning in. It's just after 3:30 in the afternoon, UK time, on the 2nd of October, 2024, obviously. Susan here, as you know. And I'm ready for another Susan rant. Sorry about this. I'm wondering how to keep it down to 6 minutes. I might struggle with that. But however, um, it's just that my rant is about folks saying, "Oh, this political party's no good, this leader's no good, that leader we need." And in the UK, obviously, we've just had Conservative uh, pushed out and Labour brought in, who are making an even bigger mess and going against the people. Technically, they say they got the majority, but they didn't. Only somewhere like 60% of people bothered to vote in the first place because they know it's a waste of time. And and only a third of the people who voted actually voted Labour. So, in other words, only 20% of the population actually voted for these idiots. So, so that, in my opinion, they're in there with a mandate doing all sorts of things. um, Definitely getting people riled up about some of the stuff that they're doing. But what's getting to me is that folk are saying, "Oh, this is party's no good. We should have them in. Let's change it." And what we really need to do, and what we need to think towards, although we can't do it overnight, is to get a complete rehash of the system, where we have a situation where a government can decide on school uniform, who can decide on the hours that shops open on a Sunday, for instance. Think stupid thing. Why are they getting all that money and sitting in there deciding on things like this? No. Um, for those of you who don't know me, and obviously none of you really will, except for my wee rants occasionally. Way back in the day, in my early 20s, I was involved with the Scottish National Party. And the main reason for that was not that specifically separatism as such, but I did believe that decisions should be made at the lowest possible level. And the SNP pushed for what I now know to be called subsidiarity, where decisions are made at the lowest possible level. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I grew up and did not get involved in party politics very quickly. I realised it was not where I wanted to be, and certainly in my early 20s, it was way before Nippy Sweetie took over, and way before Alex Salmond, with whom I was in the same hall of residence at university, by the way. So I knew him a wee bit. So it was in the days before that when Billy Wolfe was there, a real gentlemanly Scotsman, and so as I say, I grew up and I realised that party politics wasn't for me in any shape or form. I've grown up even further than that over the last 4 years. And whilst, as I say, we can't change things overnight, we should be using our consciousness to bring about a world where decisions are made at the lowest possible level. And as I say, 4 years ago, I was part of a small team um, that brought about an organisation called Community Assembly. And we ended up with over 3,000 members, mainly across UK, Ireland, but also we had a few watching what we were doing from America, from Bali, across Europe, South Africa, folk watching what was happening. And what we advocated was subsidiarity at its extreme. So instead of top down government, it was bottom up government. So if you want yellow lines painted up your street, why is it left to somebody else to decide who doesn't live in your street, who has nothing to do with it? Um, if your school wants a particular school uniform or doesn't want a school uniform, why should central government make a decision on school uniform? or on shop opening hours. Uh, Any decision should be so your local community should make decisions of your local community as long as they don't negatively impact on the next community, so you can have chats. Importantly, though, folk who really want the power, and we've seen, I don't know what you call these small local community organisations all over the place, but I certainly noticed that there were still people who wanted local power, who wanted to be important, who took the job as chairperson or whatever. Anybody who wants the job shouldn't have the job because they're wanting it for power. So whether it be the elders or whatever in the community, people with a reasonable life's knowledge or expertise, if you need to pull in particular areas of expertise, should be making the decision at the lowest possible level, your neighbours, etc. And for the good of the community, not for the good of the individual, for the good of the community. And there may well, so then, and then the wider community, like your town or whatever, your area within the city, makes decisions on that particular area, as long as it doesn't negatively impact on another. And for things like uh, garbage collection bins being collected, you may well need to work with a neighbouring community to get the best deal from a company who's willing to come and lift your rubbish. It, so a lot of interaction, but you don't need so many layers of people sitting in their offices to decide these things, and politicians sitting about. Um, Once the decision's made for the good of the community, unless it goes wrong, if it's not broke, don't go fixing it. So levels from the bottom up, and at the top level, at the responsible level up here, all they should be doing was negotiating possibly with other countries about trade or whatever. So it's bottom up government, not top down. This is what you're going to do. And by the way, we're taking all your tax money and we're throwing it to another country because, well, it'll end up in my pocket, won't it? So, so that was my rant today. Decisions being made at the lowest possible level. This type of government is so weak because whilst I know in America they're desperate to get Trump in because he's the good guy and he's going to fix it, whilst you still have that pyramid with one person in control at the top, what happens if something goes wrong with that person and a bad person gets in at the top? Which is what would keep happening. So having leaving all your belief, putting all your handing over your sovereignty to one particular person um, who can't actually see what's happening in your locality, but making decisions on behalf of that is never a good idea. Rant over. 8.5 minutes. I need to stop there. But I will obviously say this is just food for thought. This was my rant. At the end of the day, our consciousness, our thoughts, our frequency should be moving out to the type of loving life that we all want, a compassionate, loving life, and to do it in love. So go about your business, love, live, and most of all, be happy. Thanks for tuning in. See you again. Bye.